I'm a bad friend, I declared, laid out on Anna's bed like a fish fillet. My depression was surging and left me with two existential options: either swear everyone betrays me or that I betray everyone. Refreshingly, I picked the latter. What do you think about these? Anna said, plucking out of her closet two peach Crocs that looked like two peach crocodiles. They're Crocs, I said, obviously. I know, but they're comfortable, she said, smiling, as if somehow that made her choices more fashionable. Not to eyesight, I sighed. Get a job, she replied nonchalantly, tossing them into her giveaway pile. I'm trying, I sighed. No more freelance prostituting your creativity on Fiverr. An actual part-time or something that stays permanent, not contractual, she demanded while pulling out a white tulle Zara dress that I could only imagine was her baptismal garb from its infant size. Yay or nay, she asked. When did it ever fit? I questioned so sincerely I stood up from her bed. Was I in your life when that fit? You're right. I didn't even think it fit when it fit, you know? She shrugged. What do you mean, get a job? What does that have to do with anything? I said suddenly, agitated by her comment. Here I was, self-declaring that I had abandoned her and giving her the dreamed opportunity to kick me when I'm down, and instead she demanded a labor change and an appreciation for her orthopedic aesthetic. How could she not understand me? I yelped internally, ready to go back to my default depressive response of trusting nobody's intentions. Whenever you struggle in money, you struggle in confidence. There, I said it, she replied. You actually are broken. She stared straight at me with her hand to her hips like a teacher scolding her student. Post-grad, I had suffered a really bad bout of health. I'd gone from the healthiest human being to bedridden for 3 years, with doctors wondering my leg was failing me. By the time I was ready to get back up, the pandemic hit, and soon my dog would die, and my grandmother that raised me passed as well. I did not say it, but a part of me died with them, and the other half feared dying so much it play dead. It's hard to get a job. No one hires beyond freelance because they don't not want to give you health insurance, especially if they think you're disabled. Well, you're not, I replied casually. Yeah, but I'm a Latina, and sometimes I think I'm bisexual, and I have indigenous roots, and, well, I'm a non-protected veteran. I grieved. Wait, we're non-protected veterans? She said, staring into the mirror as if reliving her past life in World War II. Anna, when were we ever in a war? Focus! There comes a point when the sadness of your past becomes your personality, she declared, and usually that happens when you don't let things go. She tossed the Zara dress into the giveaway pile. You've had it rough, and I'm not saying it's easy, but you're stuck, and you're playing small, but crying that nothing big happens. You have to change your behavior. She stared at me again. She was my childhood friend, one of the few people on earth that knew who I was and who I thought I should be. I respected her for that, but I was also really scared of the times she called me out. I hated that she was right, and I didn't know how to change. From therapy to a boosted Zoloft prescription, I was stuck trying to feel better enough to actually become it, and it wasn't working. It was a part of me that wanted to run back to that sick bed with my dog and my grandma, cuddling me in discomfort. But now I had to accept I was healthy and alone and really bitter about it. A bitterness that I wondered if it carried into job interviews or friendship outings. A bitterness that took my sleep from me and certainly was integral to my weight gain. A bitterness that made me not want to work or even connect with myself, let alone anyone on LinkedIn. You're a good friend, by the way, she smiled. You want this purse? I got it at a sale, she said while tossing it towards me. Sure, I sighed. I like gold shimmery stuff. I half smirked, once again divided between the parts of me that felt alive and the other parts that didn't. You'll be fine, she continued. You've never failed. You just, haven't succeeded in the ways you wanted yet. Whatever that means. She continued to rummage through her pile of worn ribbed tanks and baggy jeans. Maybe I should be a stylist for work, leave startup companies and become Law Roach. Not with those peach Crocs, Anna. Not with those peach. All right, let's heal, let's discuss. What I wanted with that episode was I had a conversation with my childhood friend And she was like, I think you have too much instability that stabilizes you. And that was my biggest thing about my childhood, just feeling like I was giving a lot and being demanded a lot, that in a very adult way. And I just wanted to be a kid, and I just wanted to kind of crash out and rest and play and have fun. And adulthood isn't that fun naturally. It's almost like you have to nurture joy, especially in this society. And being in freelance for so long is exhausting. Always knocking on doors, always trying to take consultancy, always trying to, having multiple projects to get paid. And then, even then you're looking for more projects. And I've been kind of stuck in that whirlwind almost by accident. I graduated, I traveled the world, and then I got a bunch of health issues and really bad luck. And then the pandemic hit. And I kind of escaped the pandemic. And within years, my grandmother was gone, who raised me. My dog had passed. I adopted my new baby. But I don't think I fully grieved ever or understood how horrible it was to kind of be put on pause and finally get ready to get back up, and you get paused again. And I'm a person who, I am ambitious. I am a go-getter. But something about having this kind of things that were beyond me, the universe telling me, you know what, no, you can't move, literally, made me really scared of life, made me really scared of not living, to the point that I kind of stopped. And when my grandmother passed, at first it was my dog when he passed at the height of the pandemic, like shortly after it was declared over. And then within the years, my grandmother. Something about their losses just completely fried me and kind of made me feel, just have fun with your friends, just go out, but finding joy in, really intimate relationships, finding joy in your work, that doesn't really feel possible. But yet that was the story of the women in my family. That was the story of my grandmother. If anything, she was admired for how she survived. And something about this last year in particular, after her loss, made me realize that I was admiring me for the same reasons. Like, look at you, you survivor. But I don't want to survive life. I want to live it. And I don't have examples of that beyond, these celebrities and these Nepo babies and these ultra wealthy that are living to the utmost and think basic human suffering, like losing a grandparent, is adversity. And we don't really get enough stories, or at least not as much anymore, of people overcoming the worst to become the best of themselves and still stay good to others. It's all business strategy, and that business strategy by chance has a lot of human rights violations. And, being somebody who's deeply smart and deeply creative, but also really wants to be happy, makes it difficult for me to transition into or know what it is to have a full-time career, not a multiple project career, not one where you're always looking, one where you could stay, one where you could rest, one where you can feel you. And I think for Anna, it's like, then find the one that at least is partially permanent, because part of the unhappiness also comes from this feeling of you're always in movement. And when you're always moving, but not moving in the directions you desire, you oddly feel like you're still in that sick bed. You strangely feel like you're still not moving. And I think this is the first time in my life, especially through Daddy Recovery, where I'm really trying to be intentional with my future, intentional with myself, not explaining, putting boundaries, and going for my goals. Wish me luck.